Hey guys, I'm Mary and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a reading goals check-in. It is just about halfway through the year. We're at the end of June, so I thought it'd be a good time to check in on these goals. So these goals, I have 3 in total that I originally talked about and set for myself in a 2022 reading goals video that I posted back in December. So I will link that video if you're interested in seeing kind of my original talking about these. And so for each one, I'm just going to go through each one, talk about how I'm doing, like am I on track to complete it, am I behind, ahead, how I feel about the goal in general, like was it a good goal, am I going to continue or drop the goal, I guess, for the rest of the year, and then just what I've been reading for that goal. So my first goal was to read one female fantasy backlist book per month, and for a backlist, I define it as published pre-2000, and so in my original goals video, I had a list of 12, but the list was not the specific goal. The goal was reading one per month, and I just had a starting list of 12, and so I have deviated twice so far from that list, but I have successfully read one per month so far. So going through just the ones I read, so in January I read Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. In February I DNF'd Swords Point by Ellen Kushner, which isn't technically reading, but since I feel like the spirit of the goal was to kind of try out some older fantasy voices and kind of like digging into female fantasy, because a lot of the classic fantasy I hear about is male. So the spirit of it was like try these authors and books out, and I tried it out, right? Like I just didn't like it. Like I just didn't want to make myself finish it. So I'm counting that as towards this goal, for the spirit of the goal, and it's my goal, so I can, do what I want. So, and then in March, I read The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. In April, I read Crown Jewel by Sherwood Smith. In May, I read Beauty by Robin McKinley. And in June, I read The Forgotten Beast of El by Patricia McKillop. So, I have very mixed feelings on this goal because I think it was a bad goal. I don't regret necessarily trying out these books. Like there's still books on that list, the list of 12 that I haven't read yet, some of them my own that I'm interested in. But I think making the goal be one for every 12 months, like one per month, was the mistake. I just think that kind of restrictive time related goal just doesn't work well for me. And I should have figured this out, or time related / with a list attached to it as well. I just think that it just doesn't work. I think I should have figured this out last year last year I figured out that having like a set series I want to start or finish in this year didn't work, and so I specifically didn't do that kind of series goal this year with a specific list of ones I definitely want to hit. And I think this just that should have told me that doing the goal this way wasn't the way, because I haven't loved any of the ones I've read, and so I think with each month when I don't hit one that I really like Daughter of the Forest in January was the high point. It's the one I've liked the best out of the 6 so far. And when each month I just hit one I don't really love, the next month I get towards the end of the month, like the last week, I'm like, oh, I gotta find one to fit in now. And sometimes I'm not in the mood for that. I'm kind of a list reader, kind of a mood reader, kind of I think somewhere in between. I can set kind of short-term lists, like I'm gonna read these 2 books next, but if I get to the last week of the month and I'm just not feeling, this kind of fantasy book that month, or if there was something else I wanted to read more and then I'm pushing it aside because I have to get this book done this month, it's just killing the vibe, and I don't think it's helping my enjoyment either. So I think I am going to abandon this goal for the year as far as one per month. There are several books on this list, that original list, that I'm still interested in. Several I own. I have copies of The Curse of the Chalian by Lois McMaster Bujold. I have The Curse of the Mist Race by Ginny Wirtz. I have a standalone that wasn't on the list called The Golden Key that I picked up a month or 2 ago, and I'm interested in those. I'm also still definitely interested in Green Rider and The Arrows of the Queen. Those are all the top ones from those I'm still interested in, and I just want to read them. I just think I'm going to set that more as I'm interested and want to try and get to these kind of classics sometime, maybe higher priority than just languishing on my Goodreads TBR, as opposed to I must read one per month. And I think that'll just work out better. So, you live and you learn on how to set goals. I didn't really set a ton of goals before making videos, so you learn some lessons. So, unfortunately, this goal I think just wasn't meshing. The other part of this goal that wasn't working, and this is true of this one and the second goal I'm going to talk about, which is both lists in those goals include mini series starters, and my third goal was about having fewer open series, so that also didn't help me wanting to pick up some of these. I'm I don't want to start another series right now, so I tried to find a standalone that worked, and just wasn't working out. So anyways, all that to say, but definitely I think I'm just going to discontinue this goal specifically. So my next goal was, I had a list of I think 24 total books that I had acquired, that I owned, physically owned, and had acquired prior to 2021, so 2020 and earlier. And I wanted to read 15 of these this year to just get some of those, because some of them I've owned for several years. Some were like 2020 acquisitions, so like not super old on the TBR, but like some of them I've owned longer. So I just wanted to get those down. And so far I am ahead of the, I guess, rate at which I needed to be picking these up to complete it. I have read, so out of the 15 I need to read, I have read 9, and I'm currently reading a 10th one. So definitely on track here with this one. And I do think this one has been working better than the first one, because this one is still like a list, but I didn't have a per month requirement to it, which I think has been helping a lot. It's just total number, however many I can do whenever, and yeah, so I definitely think that has been helping. I have hitting the point where I'm running out of standalones on this list, though. I have read a couple that are series starters, but I'm running out of standalones. I'm gonna have to start picking up some that are series starters, so I think that'll slow me down a little bit in the second half, for the same reason that slowed down didn't work with the first goal, was I'm trying to avoid picking up series so I can get my series list down a little bit more. But here we are, we'll see. So it's a good thing I've gotten ahead of this one. So the 9 books I have read for this one were Starless by Jacqueline Carey, The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons, The House of the Four Winds by Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory, 12 Kings and Sherekai by Bradley Beaulieu, The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Corey, The Lost Plot by Genevieve Cogman, Miracle Creek by Angie Kim, You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and The Ties That Tether by Jane E. Garrow, and the one I am currently in the middle of is Driftwood by Marie Brennan. So another thing that as I was reading those out, I think that also helped this be more successful than the first one, is it's a range of genres. It's not just all older fantasy, which is its own vibe, and I'm not always in the mood for that. But this has a range of genres. I've been reading fantasy, thriller, and contemporary, so definitely a range of genres in there that I think also helped this one not feel this goal work better mentally than the first one did, as far as making myself pick up books from that list versus not really having trouble making myself pick up books from this list. But we'll see how the last 6 months goes, if we can successfully finish this one off, or if we have some struggles with that. So the last goal had to do with series, and so I had a list of 48 open series at the end of last year, and my goal was I wanted at the end of this year to have that list of open series down to 40 or fewer. And I actually, after I filmed that video, realized I forgot 2 series on that list, so it was actually 50 series that I was starting with instead of 48, so that, already starting with an L there. But this one I think I'm doing all right on as well. At the end of June, the list is the lowest it's been since the end of, I count at the end of every month, so it's the lowest it's been in 2022, and it's at 49, so, I guess that is one fewer than I started with, because I started with 50, not 48, so progress. This is the first time that number has been under 50. At the end of each month, I went 52, 53, 52, 50, 52, 49. So we've definitely started some series, because as I mentioned in the previous task, I'm trying not to just start a bunch of series, but I definitely end up starting some, whether it be several of them have been because of book club reads or arcs I had requested prior to this goal, and so can't totally avoid it, but most of them have been that reason for starting it, and I've been trying to avoid starting outside of those reasons, but mostly successfully. So talk about which series I have finished, started, read. So the ones I've completed that were on this list from last year that I finished: the Rajas series by Sonali Dev, which is a contemporary romance series. I finished the Bellinger series duology by Tessa Bailey, another contemporary romance series. I finished Swords and Fire trilogy by Melissa Caruso, which is an adult fantasy series. I finished the Young Elite series by Marie Lu, which is a young adult fantasy trilogy. And I have just finished the Unwind series by Neil Shusterman, which is a young adult sci-fi dystopian series. As far as series I've started, no, I guess I have one that I've started and finished, and that was the Bare Knuckle Bastards series by Sarah McLean, which is a historical romance. So that one started this year and finished this year. And then as far as ones I have started this year but have not finished yet, I have the Rook and the Rose series by M.A. Carrick, A Chorus of Dragons by Jen Lyons, which I really thought I was going to finish that one before this video film, but we've not. That's okay. The Seven Waters trilogy by Juliette Marillier, the Kithamar series by Daniel Abraham, the Song of the Shattered Sands series by Bradley P. Beaulieu, and the Sand Sea trilogy by Chelsea Abdullah. As well, a series that I have worked on during this year that are still just unfinished. Some of these been working on rereading some of the installments. Some of them I've read more into the series, just haven't read all of the series yet, and that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca, Dark Olympus by Katie Robert, The Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams, Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, The Gilded Age Heiresses by Harper St. George, The Invisible Library series by Genevieve Cogman, Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence, The Scholomance series by Naomi Novik, Between Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse, Wheel Time by Robert Jordan, The Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan, The Air Chronicles by Cinda Williams-Chima, the Finlay Donovan series by El Cosimano, and that's it. And then I DNF'd 2 series off this list. I have DNF'd The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare, and the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whaley Turner. And then also I started and DNF'd the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. So just a little speed run there on what I've been working on as far as my series is. So yeah, that goal I think is doing okay. There's several series on here that I'm like one book from finishing, and several of those books are coming out this year. So as long as I can stay up on some of the new releases coming out, some of them I've pre-ordered, some will be library checkouts. I should be able to knock some of those out with this year. So yeah, overall definitely feeling pretty fine. I know numbers wise I really haven't made much progress, but I'm feeling good about it, I guess. So maybe my feelings are just completely misplaced. So let me know in the comments if you have made any progress on any goals that you set for yourself for reading this year, and I will see you in my next video.